Oh, bonjour, it's me, JH, and I'm back to paint. Look at that, it's me. It's another me, another JH. Please say hi. It's not gonna respond, but I wish it did. So since I've started this project, my mother has hung up at least 2 of these self-portraits. I don't know what my basement will look like by the end of this, but I hope that my face is plastered on each and every single wall. The reason why I took a week off was because I needed a hard reset. These portraits take a long time. I know it doesn't seem like it because it's like a week. There are times when I'm wrong, and I don't like to be wrong. So I want to correct my issues before they even happen. Therefore, I often ask some friends or family that know a little bit more about the information to corroborate as well as correct myself. And the meme chart. And I also read a lot of essays. Unfortunately, the artist this week was a little... I'm not gonna say there wasn't a lot, but there was just a lot of replicated information, and I wanted to find something that was definitively going to give me great results without reading way too much. And I found the one. It was actually really nice. It was, I think, 92 pages, and I thought it would take me like half a week to read. Turns out it only took me a couple hours. That was pretty good. If you want to read it, I'm going to link it down below because it's free, and that is so good. It makes me cry every time thinking about it. So, Max Ernst. What's he good for? Why are we talking about him? We could be talking about any other surrealist. Why are we talking about him? So, the reason why I chose to focus surrealism on Max Ernst, I think Max Ernst is a really interesting character in art history. He's sort of on the same level as Marcel Duchamp in the way of he wasn't seen as relevant until he was. He, as well as a bunch of other people like Max Ernst, were going to be irrelevant if avant-garde didn't pick up the way it did. Why am I talking about Max Ernst? Well, he created a lot of new ways for artists to communicate their works. And he created a lot of techniques. I wouldn't say collages, his own technique, because Picasso and Matisse have definitely done that ahead of him. He didn't just reinvent collages in that way, he also created frontage and grattage, and we will do 2 self-portraits based on those ideas this week. I think that for the last few weeks I have been making art that's a little harder to register right away and takes more classic training to reach. So this week I'm going to dive into the art of an artist that never really had that training and show you that anyone can be an artist in, well, that sounds like the Fluxus manifesto. I want to show everyone that you don't need to have training to be an artist, but it is crucial to continue to practice your field and your art to reach its greatest potential. So let's get started. I'm gonna start with the background. I will. Oh no, where's my oil? Yeah, so I'm gonna start. Oh no. Please. Do that. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna start with a little oil and then not that much blue. And I'm gonna start with like a little bit of a ground. So when I pat on my main sort of figure, there's something to contrast it with. I suggest using oil paint because I haven't tried this with acrylic yet. I don't think it would work the same, just generally because of the consistency. And I'm holding my brush in the like as back as I can, so I give it leverage. So I think I'm gonna do this to like here. So when you're attempting this technique, you should definitely get a piece of canvas that hasn't been framed yet, or what do you call it? Yeah, framed. I guess it's framed. Because it will be harder then to capture the textures. Unless, I don't know, if you want to capture the texture of some toys or something, by all means do that. I think that might be really cool. Like if you could capture the fluffiness of like a plushie, that might be a nice idea, but I don't think putting oil paint and something you sleep with together is a very good idea. So I'm just gonna do the other thing right now, because that's gonna take a long time. So what I've done is I will sponge this together down so it's more even and it doesn't have the brush strokes. You can't just take a sponge and start dabbing, but I think a piece of cloth over it might work better because the sponge has little holes and it's not as absorbent in different ways. So I just want to lightly dab. Let's talk more about Max Ernst's contributions to art making and the avant-garde in general. He took the collage and he recontextualized it with new subjects as well as new systems. If you look at his book illustrations, these collages are no longer just paintings. They are fine illustrations that are put together to create a new narrative as well as new meanings. What is happening upstairs? For this self-portrait, I didn't want to exactly capture my silhouette nor image, so instead of doing that, I looked into the mirror to start drawing, so obviously my marks aren't as clean. Oh bonjour, I'm back, but this time in the wild. I mean, not wild, but you know. Why am I outside? Well, my deck is horrible. Essentially, certain members of this family wanted to repaint the porch because the wood's a little messed up, right? It's been a month. Nothing's been done. So I'm just gonna take the texture of this crappy wood and I'm gonna put it in my pictures to remind them that they need to get going. I'm probably actually gonna do it afterwards. The other method I will be trying is frottage. That's right, it's not just a very sexy thing, it is also a drawing technique. So essentially what you want to do is grab a regular graphite pencil and capture the texture of whatever is under your sheet of paper. So I've used a thicker sheet of paper despite the fact that I knew what my goal was, but I ultimately captured what I needed. So, you know, try this at home, and essentially after you finish this step, you want to start trying to find different forms in these scratchings. I also wanted to use the porch because of the wooden textures that I would receive. This is to pay homage to the way Ernst had found this technique by being really sick at a young age and staring into a piece of fake mahogany on a nearby cabinet. And through this long extended viewing, he was able to see different shapes and different forms. And after becoming an adult and having his own studio, he decided to test out these theories further with not just wood, but other materials such as twine, chains, anything that he would find. There were times where he used scraps from garbage and lace cuttings, and by putting them on a sheet of paper or capturing its textures, it is taken away from the original object and put in a different space. Therefore, it could be recontextualized to be different things. At this time, I wasn't too content with only making one drawing. I wanted to have at least two so I could have a choice and look at them side by side and see what they're good for, you know? Here are the final two drawings, and this is the one that I picked ultimately to start with. I wanted to use the motif of birds, or at least wings, as Ernst had very often in his pieces. He registered birds as a sign of freedom, however, also the aggressors of issues. In his illustrations for a week of kindness, there are often bird or animal headed people that are in positions of power or the aggressors to the situation. He often also used bird cages or other cages as a motif in his paintings when representing his own situation or the situation of someone like him. He was obviously deeply traumatized by his time in the trenches in World War I. And here I am just adding colors to distinguish the separation between the figure and myself. I wanted to place myself above the sort of aggressor type and almost have the body as a protector. I didn't record the part of me drawing that. I'm very sorry. Oops. Here is the finished piece. I wanted to give myself more bird-like appearance, and if you didn't see before, I used the mirror for reference. Yeah. Now that the bottom layer is dried enough, you should probably let it sit for 2 days, if not more. Give it more time if you can. I will now attempt the grattage technique. I cannot pronounce French. I'm so sorry. Essentially, you're just placing different objects underneath and then scraping out the textures with a palette knife. And now I am going to attempt at forming something. I don't know. This entire journey was really weird, and I think it's just because I haven't used this much oil paint ever. I tried to add bird motifs as well, just because I feel like that is a tie-in to most of his work, as well as some techniques
on oil painted Chinese oil paintings. I also added some motifs of the forest, as he mostly painted these grattage paintings to be of natural creatures in these foliage spaces or have the sense of metamorphosis. I tried really hard to keep the original texture, however it was causing a few problems. Here is the final result. As you can see, there's a lot of texture. It is kind of shifty, kind of trippy. I don't know, I really like it. I don't. That's a lie. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a like, give it a subscribe, comment. Thank you for watching. Thank you for staying till the end. Yay.